The second part of this lesson is going to focus on healthy teen-partner relationships. Some takeaway messages include: parents can use parenting inside-out skills to help their children in their relationships with intimate or romantic partners. Teen dating violence is a real issue and can do lasting harm. And parents can teach their teens skills for staying safe in relationships. It's important to note that there may be some topics that we bring up during this lesson that might be very sensitive for you. So if you need to pause and come back and finish it later, please do that. Please be just aware of what you need to do for yourself. A learning goal could include: I would like to teach my teens skills to help build healthy relationships. You can take a second and write down your learning goal for this part of the lesson. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to begin by writing down our dreams for our children in regards to their partner relationships as they get older. You're going to turn in your workbook to worksheet 11.2.1 in your yellow workbook, and you're going to answer the following questions. How will the partner treat your child? How do you hope the partner treats your child? Those could kind of overlap or be very similar. What is your child's relationship with this partner like? And how do you hope the partner treats your grandchildren? So you're going to take a second and think about your teenagers as individuals and think about what do you hope for them as they become older and have partner relationships. What do you want for their future in that regard? So you can take a second and answer these 4 questions in regards to what you hope for your children as they become older and are in more relationships and have kids. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, on average, girls start group dating at around age 12 and a half, and boys start around 13 and a half. On average, teens begin pairing up around age 15. It's also important to note that every individual goes at his or her own pace, and some might begin doing this earlier or may begin to do it much later. It turns out that parents are indeed a very important influence on how their children think about intimate relationships. Children pay attention to the way their parents behave in intimate relationships, and they're paying attention long before they themselves are thinking about dating. But it turns out that another very powerful way that we as parents influence our children's future relationship health is through the way we parent, the relationship we have with our children. Throughout PIO, we've learned many parenting skills that will positively impact our child's teen and adult partner relationships. What I'm going to have you do now is turn in your yellow workbook to worksheet 11.2.2. This is titled Healthy Partner Relationships. This is a 4-page document, so I'm not going to read through it all for you. I'm going to give you guys some time to read through this on your own and then highlight any things that really stand out to you. A couple things that I do want to highlight before you read is that as you're reading this, you'll notice a few things, and one of those key themes is that it's kind of our responsibility and our role to model to our kids what a healthy relationship looks like, and we can do that in a variety of ways. It's also important about how we interact with our kids, and this plays a role in how they will develop relationships in the future. So as you're reading this, I want you to think about what are things that you can be doing now with your children, and what are things that you can be doing with your partner if you're currently in a partner relationship that can be modeling well for your kids what that looks like for them to begin being in partner relationships. So take some time, pause the video, read through this assignment, and then highlight and take notes about things that stand out to you. We've talked about the characteristics of healthy, positive relationships and how you can both model those in your own partner relationships and teach some of them to your own children. But there's another important issue to talk about when it comes to the dating relationships our children have as they move into adolescence and young adulthood, and this is teen dating violence. Many parents are unaware of how common teen dating violence is, how to recognize the signs that their child is in a violent relationship, or how to prevent teen dating violence. Intimate partner violence can be physical, emotional, sexual, or stalking. Dating violence doesn't always occur in person. It can also be done electronically. It can happen during the relationship or after the relationship has ended. I want you to think about your child and how you want them to be treated by a partner. None of us want our child to be a victim of domestic violence, to be hurt by someone who's close to them and is supposed to act in loving ways. Violence among teens can take a lot of different forms, and often when people think about domestic violence, they think about physical acts of aggression, like hitting or punching. But violence against a partner often takes another side as well, through emotional and psychological aggression, acts like name-calling or threatening. What I'm going to have you guys do now is turn to worksheet 11.2.3 in your yellow workbook entitled Teen Dating Violence. And just as you did with the previous worksheet about healthy partner relationships, I'm going to have you take some time, read through this, highlight things that stand out to you, and that will be helpful for you to have as knowledge as you're raising your teenager. So you can pause the video and take a minute to read through that. Dating violence can have both immediate and long-term negative effects on young people's lives. Teens who experience dating violence may experience depression and anxiety, engage in unhealthy behaviors such as use of tobacco, drugs, and alcohol, or be involved in antisocial behaviors. They may think about suicide, be less successful in school, or have eating disorders, or experience intimate partner violence in adulthood. We've talked about the behaviors that may happen in each type of dating violence. We've talked about how often dating violence happens for young people, as you read in this article, and we talked about the potential impacts of dating violence on young people. Now let's talk about some signs you might see in your teen if he or she is experiencing dating violence. That can include your teen's partner is extremely jealous or possessive, you notice unexplained marks or bruises on your teen's partner emails or texts excessively, they stop spending time with other friends and family, or they stop participating in extracurricular activities or interests. Although there may be other reasons for some of these warning signs, if you see one or more of them, it's important to respond or talk to the person in the life of your child who's in the best place to respond. So I'd like you to take a second and reflect and think about if there's any of these things that possibly you've noticed in your teenagers, or just keep them in the back of your mind and be aware of them as your kids might become teenagers. As I mentioned earlier, teen dating violence is something that parents can play a really crucial role in preventing and stopping before it happens. And that just includes, like we read in the article, modeling to our kids what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship, such as not arguing in front of our kids and just creating healthy patterns for them to watch and for us to model for them. And just by having an open line of communication with them and sharing with them things that we believe reflect our values and how we can be in a healthy partner relationship. So thankfully, parents can play a really crucial role in preventing this from happening. So now I want us to think about what are some skills that we've learned that can help reduce your child's risk of being involved in teen dating violence. We've learned that practicing backbone parenting and encouraging other caregivers to do the same is really important. Children who experience harsh parenting are more likely to be involved in teen dating violence. Monitor your children and encourage other caregivers to do the same. Children whose parents don't know where they are, who they're with, and what they're doing are at a higher risk for teen dating violence. That's referring back to wandering out in social situations or wandering online, or just as parents not knowing where our kids are at. And when they're in those situations, they're more likely to, find another teenager who's in the same situation, and they might end up creating or being involved in some of those risky behaviors, which could lead to teen dating violence. It's important to be a warm and engaged parent and encourage other caregivers to do the same. Children who have lots of negative interactions with their parents are more likely to be involved in teen dating violence. Again, while this is a lot of heavy information, it's encouraging to know that as parents, there's so many things that we can do to recreate the experiences that our kids have and make sure that they're experiencing things in a very positive way. The next thing I'm going to have you do is flip in your purple workbook to handout 11.2.5, and it's titled, My Commitment to Helping My Child Develop Healthy Partner Relationships. You're going to use what you've learned in this session primarily from reading the article about healthy partner relationships. You're going to go back and notice what you highlighted, what you took notes on, and you're going to identify one short-term goal and one long-term goal or commitment that you want to make for your children to help them build healthy, positive dating relationships as teens. So I want you to think about, what are a few simple and doable things that you can do now and in the coming months that you think would contribute to your child having a positive relationship now or in the future? They should be things that are possible for you to do. So a short-term commitment could be something like you're going to commit to not arguing with your partner in front of your children on a daily basis. You're going to really commit to making sure that if something does arise between you and your partner, that the kids are not around when you're having that disagreement. Maybe a long-term commitment for you could be that you're going to really try to implement having an open line of communication with your children as they become teens and they're in college and they're into adulthood, and that they feel comfortable sharing with you the things that they're experiencing so that you can always be aware of what's going on in their lives, and so that you can feel more confident that they are a part of a healthy partner relationship, and just really focusing on that communication and building that rapport with your child so that they know that you are a person they can come talk to about these things. And that's something that you can continue throughout the rest of their lives. So if you could take a second and write down a short-term commitment and a long-term commitment for your teenage children. The last thing we're going to do is wrap up our learning goal. So my learning goal was, I'd like to teach my teens skills to build healthy relationships. And after I read through the Healthy Partner Relationships worksheet, I was reminded of the importance of maintaining a healthy relationship myself. It was helpful to know that I can model some of those aspects in my relationships with my child, such as filling the relationship cup. If you skipped over that part, or if you don't remember that part, I'd encourage you to go back and read the section about filling the relationship cup and what that looks like in a partner relationship and how that can also be displayed in your relationship with your children. Lastly, I'll focus on not arguing with my partner in front of my children and also work on filling their relationship cups as much as I can. You can go ahead and wrap up your learning goal for this lesson.